John Wheelwright is a young boy born in Gravesend, New Jersey. He lives a quiet, indifferent life and remains that way for most of his entire life. John's best friend, Owen Meany, a dwarf with a really high voice which is nasally, is characterized by using all capital letters when he speaks. This represents his being a higher power. Beginning with John and Owen during their childhood, explaining their relationship and how Owen was basically the center of John's life, John's family, their peers, and their community, which first introduces the idea of Owen as a Christ figure. Much to Owen's frustration, Owen's classmates love to touch him and pick him up because he is so light and different. Owen's classmates worship him in a way only one other has been before, Christ. John goes on to talk about his mother and how he loves his mother more than he loves anyone else. All of his friends think Tabby is attractive, but Owen has the biggest crush on her. Tabby treats him as her own son because he does not have a great relationship with his parents. There is a flashback to when Tabby alerted the family that she met a man on the train. That man was Dan Needham, the history/drama teacher. John instantly loves him, and even more so when he gives him a stuffed armadillo. The two marry. John and Owen love him and look up to him as a father. Within the first year of marriage, Tabby is killed. Owen, who never hits any balls, ever hit a foul one right into Tabby's head in the stands. She dies before she even hits the ground. Thus begins the effects of God's instruments. Owen becomes the new star of the church's production in which Owen ends up playing Jesus. He calls his parents out in the middle of showing it, and yet the audience eats it up. The story flashbacks to how Owen was sick and he went to Tabby's room for comfort, and he saw her dummy in a red dress and believed it to be the angel of death and that Tabby was supposed to die that night. Then later on, Johnny and Owen attended Gravesend Academy, the rich fancy school in their town. Then during their senior year, Owen goes through a rebellious phase and he gets put on disciplinary probation. Owen also has the dream more often, in which he sees his gravestone with the date included. Owen starts at the University of New Hampshire with John and signs up for ROTC program. The Army pays for Owen to go to college, and afterwards he will owe them 4 years of service. John becomes a great student, but Owen gets lazy. Owen starts to believe that he has to go to Vietnam because he has a dream of rescuing a bunch of Vietnamese children from an explosion, and he sees his blood all over. Then all of a sudden he feels like he's far away and looks down on everyone from above. Everyone includes his own dead body. Owen thinks he is destined to be a hero. Forward to Owen's funeral, where everyone except his wife, John's cousin, Hester, was the only one absent. Finally, the scene of Owen's death. It happened on the day Owen predicted it. John and Owen went to the airport with a plane of nuns, and Vietnamese orphans come off. One of the nuns asks Owen to take the boys to the bathroom. John goes too. While they are there, Dick Jarvis comes in with a bomb in his hand. He pulls the key and throws it. John passes it to Owen and hoists him up. This is a shot, the basketball move they created when they were younger. The grenade blows Owen's arms off and he bleeds to death, saving everyone else on the exact day and the exact way he predicted it. Now for some historical information about the time period. The 1960s in America was a time of serious change. The U.S. was still in the middle of a Cold War with the Soviet Union, which initiated many instances of technical development, such as the space race. By the end of the decade, television had gone from a novelty to the domain medium of the age and one of the most profound communication tools ever. The number of college students doubled between 1940 and 1960 to 3.6 million, creating a huge pool of high-minded, if sometimes misguided activists with the motivation and time to devote to political and social causes. One of these causes included the protestant of the Vietnam War. Opposition of the war arose during this time of student activism, which was following the free speech and civil rights movement. The military draft mobilized the baby boomers who were most at risk. The growing opposition to the Vietnam War was partly attributed to the greater access to information presented by the addition of the television and its extensive ground coverage of Vietnam. Some symbols throughout the novel was Jesus. Throughout the book, there is a lot of Jesus imagery involving Owen, the most prominent being when he played the baby Jesus in the Christmas pageant and how he knew he was going to die ahead of time. The Christ figure imagery played a strong role in Owen's character development. Another symbol is the armadillo. When Johnny first receives the armadillo from Dan, it has its arms and all its parts. But after his mother's death, he gives it to Owen as a sign that he still loves him. Owen returns the armadillo, but he removed all the claws. Later on, the reader learns that it was Owen's way of showing John that in his hands are the work of God, and that he killed John's mother because of him. Another symbol is the Mary Magdalene statue. After he is expelled from Gravesend Academy, Owen steals the statue of Mary Magdalene and cuts off its arms and head before attaching it to the stage of Gravesend Academy. Mary Magdalene, a disciple of Jesus, is believed to have been a prostitute or loose woman. In this story, she could be a symbol for either Tabby or Hester. Both spent time on stages singing, and both were followers of Owen and at the time considered loose women. The last symbol is Owen's voice. Owen's voice and speaking role is represented in all capitals throughout the novel. He is described as having a very shrill and rather obnoxious voice that never changes. The reader finally learns why at the day of his death in Arizona. The young Vietnamese children are soothed by the similarities between themselves and tiny Owen with a shrill, childlike voice. The major theme in the novel is discovering religion. Religion plays a significant role in A Prayer for Owen Meany. The opening lines of the novel discuss the narrator's discovery of religion and how Owen Meany played a role in that discovery. Much of the novel centers on the struggle to find faith. The reader gets to know a lot about how religious beliefs are not always permanent. The book shows that one character will always have a strong belief in religion, while others will never have it at all. And some, like John, only gain a sense of religion after witnessing a miracle. Thank you for joining us for our brief summary of A Prayer for Owen Meany.